Blockbuster trades. They take place every season, and when it comes to the trade deadline and offseason, they are, in my opinion, one of the most entertaining aspects of hockey, as each team involved in the trade are taking a massive risk by trading away their franchise player in our future for another player who may completely change the identity of your team. But sometimes these trades go horribly wrong, because whether the new addition didn't mesh well with the team, or perhaps your general manager just made a lopsided deal, in some cases, we've seen a trade single-handedly collapse an NHL team, where they went from a competitive team to basically having to call it quits and enter a rebuild. In today's video, we're going to go over trades that made a team collapse. So comment down below the worst trade your team has made in franchise history, and also let me know what the after effects were. I'd love to know. And before we start, the RTH channel has officially hit 30,000 subscribers. Just incredible that we've came so far so fast. Entering this year, I had less than 2,000, and I would have never imagined that we even come close to 30,000. Just insane. So let's keep the grind going. Your guys' support is highly appreciated, so make sure to press subscribe for some more awesome content. Let's get straight into this video. We will start with the Ottawa Senators. And I know what you might be thinking, which trade? Well, to give you some context, let's go back to 2017. In this season, the Ottawa Senators came together and defied many odds, as they had their best regular season in nearly a decade, and with players like Mark Stone, Mike Hoffman, really starting to dominate the game.
It's a double Dion! Come on!
Combined with a primed Norris caliber Erik Karlsson, the Senators would find themselves in double overtime in the Eastern Conference Finals. And although they gave it their all, Chris Kunitz would break the hearts of Sens fans as he scored the game-winning goal that led to the Penguins being the 2017 Stanley Cup champions. But in the series, the Ottawa Senators were clearly missing something. A number one center, because after trading away Mika Zibanejad, Derek Brassard was expected to be that player, but he just wasn't. So the Senators management made it their number one task to go out and find that number one center. And considering that number one centers don't grow on trees, they had to jump on any opportunity while the team was still primed for another run. And well, fortunately for the Sens, the Colorado Avalanche had just came off their worst season in franchise history. And with that came a very disgruntled Matt Duchene. He was tired of losing with the Avs, and he wanted a chance at winning. A match made in heaven for Ottawa. So, after talking to Joe Sakic the entire offseason, it was clear that Sakic was playing hardball. But finally, on November 7th, 2017, a massive blockbuster deal would be announced, as Matt Duchene was headed to Ottawa, Kyle Turris was heading to Nashville, and Sakic would swindle a plethora of future pieces from the Senators. And so the Senators had to give up a lot of their future, but they got their guy. In his first season, Matt Duchene wasn't bad, as he put up 49 points, but it was very clear that he just wasn't able to carry that load. And so the team would face many internal issues. And so the first season with Duchene would be a disaster, as the Senators would finish second last in the entire NHL, which was a shocking result after almost making it to the Cup Finals, especially after acquiring Matt Duchene. But okay, maybe the season was just a hiccup. What about the next season? Well, it would shockingly start with bullying allegations between Mike Hoffman and Erik Karlsson. A very bizarre situation that ended with Mike Hoffman, who was a 30-goal scorer, to being shipped off for basically a bag of pucks. Okay, so a bad start to the season, but things will get better. Uber incident. Okay, yes, they were filmed in an Uber. Terrible PR, but we will get over it. Contract issues. Okay, so now they don't know whether they can sign their captain and leader, and Erik Karlsson, massive trade. Okay, so now the Senators have traded away their best player in franchise history, but it's okay. We can still do this. Okay, we can't do it. Trade them all. And just like that, Matt Duchene would be traded, Mark Stone would be traded, and the Senators would finish dead last in the entire NHL. And to make matters worse, the Colorado Avalanche had their first round pick, which they used to draft Bowen Byram. Just an insane turn of events, all rooted from the Matt Duchene trade. Next, we have the Arizona Coyotes. After hiring John Chayka in 2016, the Coyotes were trying to build a new identity. So with the power of analytics, some goaltender trades, and some high-end draft picks, they were starting to trend in the right direction. But something was always missing: scoring. They could keep the puck out of the net, and they had some solid players like Clayton Keller, but they were always missing that game-changer type player. And there were some attempts to get this player, as they trade for Alex Galchenyuk. That wouldn't work, so they trade Alex Galchenyuk for Kessel, and not even the hot dog man could turn their offense around. And so finally, during the 2020 trade deadline, the Coyotes would acquire their superstar, as they'd acquire Taylor Hall from the New Jersey Devils for a first-round pick and some top prospects. And don't get me wrong, not a terrible trade by the Coyotes, but considering that they weren't quite ready to make an actual cup run, if Hall chose not to sign in Arizona, well, that is a lot of assets wasted for a rental player on a non-playoff team. And well, unfortunately, Hall would not be able to carry their offense. He helped, but he was nowhere near enough, as the Avalanche would embarrass them in the playoffs to the extent that the Coyotes could barely get a shot on net. And considering that Hall had made it clear that he wanted to be on a playoff team, I think we all had a good feeling this wouldn't end well. And actually, right as I filmed this video, Taylor Hall has announced that he will be entering free agency. And when you consider that Arizona gave up very important future pieces like a first round pick and top prospects, combined with the fact they'd also lose a first and second round pick because of their illegal fitness testing incident, and the fact that Oliver Ekman-Larsson now wants out, the Coyotes today are in ruins, as they don't have the pieces to be a championship caliber team, and have lost multiple first round picks, high-end prospects, and their captain, all stemmed around one overzealous trade. Next, we have the San Jose Sharks. And honestly, not until this video did I realize how consistent the Sharks organization has been since their inception. Because in their nearly 30-year team history, the Sharks have only missed the playoffs 7 times, and 4 of those 7 times being in their first 6 years. Meaning, in the last 24 years, they've only missed the playoffs 3 times, which is honestly just insane. So with that being said, how could one trade possibly collapse the team? Well, on September 13th, 2018, after months of non-stop trade rumors, the San Jose Sharks would acquire their 2-time Norris winner in Erik Karlsson for a plethora of assets. And considering that Karlsson is one of the top defensemen from the last 2 decades, it was hard to imagine, if not literally impossible to imagine, that he could be their downfall. In fact, many thought the Karlsson acquisition would push them to their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. So, what went wrong? After losing to the St. Louis Blues in the 2019 conference finals, there was still a lot of hope, as the Sharks had some young studs like Timo Meier, who's only getting better after each year, and they'd also locked down Erik Karlsson to a massive 8-year, $92 million contract. And this is where the dominoes would begin to fall. Because of the Erik Karlsson acquisition and his signing, the Sharks would have to part ways with Joe Pavelski, who was their captain, their franchise player, and the glue of the team. Now, losing Pavelski definitely hurts, but I don't think people would understand the outcome that would happen next, as the Sharks would begin their season with a 4-11 record, which would translate into their worst regular season in 2 decades, as they ended the season with a 29-41 record, which would also place them 3rd last in the entire NHL. Which I mean would be okay, because this may just be a quick retool, as they can draft that new building block player with their top 3 pick, and we're off to the races. Wait, what? They traded it for Karlsson? Oh no. This isn't good. In order to acquire Erik Karlsson, the San Jose Sharks would have to trade an unprotected first-round pick that turned into the 3rd overall pick, which the Ottawa Senators used to draft Tim Stützle, who projects to be an elite number 1 center. Now, with that being said, I would not be surprised if the Sharks were back in the playoffs next season. But it is crazy to see how the Karlsson trade and signing caused the San Jose Sharks to see their biggest drop-off in franchise history. All of which happened even though they added one of the best puck move defensemen in NHL history. Anyways guys, what is the worst trade your team has made in franchise history? Did it make your team collapse like these teams? Comment down below, I'd love to know. And again, 30,000 subscribers. This whole year has just been a ride. There's so many ups and downs. Obviously what's happening to all of us externally in the environment. I'm not going to say the name, but it's just been a crazy year. And I just can't believe we've already hit this point. I thought this goal would take years to achieve, and I'm just honestly so stunned that we've hit 30,000 subscribers. Just insane. So let's keep the grind going. I hope all you guys are doing well. See you guys later.